So most people, unless they're looking for it, nobody wants to be sold or educated, but everybody wants to be entertained. And that is everything you need to know about marketing yourself, right?
Hey everyone! I have Instagram expert Megan Otto here, just in the house. I'm so glad to bring you here to talk about Instagram marketing for us freelancers. Some of us are doing the work for clients on Instagram, and some of us need Instagram to get clients. And you kind of will teach us all of it. So happy to have you. Tell everyone where you're from and a little bit about you and what your business looks like.
Yes, so my name is Megan Otto. I call myself the Brand Whisperer. So I'm a brand strategist and creative director. And I am from the Midwest. I live in Wisconsin. I have a 5-year-old little mini me. My daughter's name is Amelia, and I'm a full-time single mama to her. I'm doing my business, and I'm super excited to be sharing with all of you my best tips and tricks for Instagram, because I think it's an awesome platform for service providers.
So let's go on to Instagram in general and how we can promote ourselves as freelancers. All of us, a lot of people are stuck on starting Instagram from zero, and not wanting to really promote themselves, like not knowing what to post, like all of the problems. So what kind of advice do you have for us?
The first thing is to understand what Instagram is for. Like what's the strategy, right, behind Instagram? So ultimately, you want to grow your business and your brand on there. It's a great platform to do that, especially as service providers. But deeper than that, it's not just about selling. So, and that should be like a relief. Like you don't have to, all of your content does not have to be constantly selling yourself. In what I say with Instagram is there's 3 main channels that you want to create content for. Okay. So ultimately, Instagram is a connector to grow your business and your brand. It connects you to people who are going to cheer you on and support you, which is very important. And you never know what will come out of those relationships. So I've met so many people like you, Emily, just like we connected on here, and now look, I'm meeting with your group, which is awesome. Well, I guess you're kind of like both. I feel like we started out as just like friends, and then it turned into this thing where you have people that will connect you to their audiences, which is what's going on right now. So you are 2 in 1. Yeah. And then thirdly, you have people that you will be selling to directly. Like they will find you on social media, on Instagram, and they will buy your services through that. Yeah. So those are the 3 things that it's connecting to you. People that you just support you, people that you are going to build relationships with, and then connect with their audiences, and then sell directly to. So those are the kinds of content that you're creating. So it's not this pressure to be all this one thing and like, oh my God, I have to be boxed in and focused on this.
Yes.
And I think one thing, what's that?
I said I love that so much, because so many people, Instagram coaches, are saying one avatar, one message, always. I'm like, that is not me.
Yes, and it goes back to like we're so dynamic. And the other thing too that I want all of you to hear is that I want you to be a little bit selfish and just like focus on what you want to create. And I know that's harder to do than it seems, but like when you're having fun, when that energy is coming through, and it's a bit of a journey to like figure it out and like put yourself out there, but it's so powerful. And that it's like the easiest thing to do. It's super, difficult on one hand, but then you can just create this content. And again, it kind of creates that organic magnetic effect that brings these people back to you because they're attracted to you being yourself. And so we can definitely go in deeper to like the different content things, but I think it's just really important to remember that.
I love that you said that, because I did not start my Instagram until last year, and my Instagram was 0. And I was getting pissed off because I was like, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to. It wasn't it. I mean, it was growing slowly. And I'm like, this is not fun. And I just did exactly what you said. I said, F it. I'm doing Instagram my way. I'm going to like put my blinders on and I'm just going to have fun. And that has made Instagram fun for me. And it has paid off, by the way. So what you just said is gold to anyone out there struggling to get started. Like, you make the content you want and have fun with it, and it will happen. It's a snowball effect, like Megan said.
So I recommend having 3 like strategic Instagram categories that are all about what do people know? What do they need to be educated on to become the best clients to work with you, right? Educated clients become the best clients. So if there's 3 things that you could pick that you want to just be telling people, and once they actually get it and it clicks with them, they'll be like, oh my goodness, I need to hire you. So you have those 3 topics, right? But if you say them over and over again, it's going to be super dry. It's going to be super boring. You're going to hate it. They're going to hate it. They're going to tune you out, right? So what you do is you wrap it in a personal story. Now, I used to be one of those people that was like, oh my God, I don't have any personal stories. Like when people talk about personal stories, what the hell do they mean? I was just like, I was so frustrated, okay? And so I have this process that I feel like it works really well for helping people get these stories. And then, yeah, once you wrap things in a story, it's entertaining. So most people, unless they're looking for it, nobody wants to be sold or educated, but everybody wants to be entertained. And that is everything you need to know about marketing yourself, right? If you can make people feel entertained, they will not tune you out. They'll pay attention. They'll be sucked in. That's just how we work as humans. So a story does that. Like a movie, an ad, a clever, song, it entertains us. That's why we listen to it or watch it. So stories do that. That's the first thing, is you wrap these viewpoints, you wrap your offers. I recommend doing that as well in a story. The other thing that you do though, and you might even want to do this more, mix it up, and I'm not one of those hard and fast rules persons. I have guidelines. I believe that there's an exception to everything. So I want all of you to take what I'm saying and use it, what's helpful, but experiment. Take it and run with it, right? Yeah. So the other thing that I believe, though, that I do see as works, but again, you make it fit for you, is viewpoints. I call them ferocious viewpoints. This is what is going to make you stand out. This is what is going to build your authority. This is what is going to grow your community. When you boldly stand for what you believe for, people can latch on. If you're very passive and you're afraid to make statements, nobody can latch on to that. You're not going to be a thought leader. The other thing too is I think everybody struggles, especially when they're first getting started, with thinking, I don't have anything important. Like there's all these big names saying all these things, like who am I? And you know what? All of those big names, they were once where you feel like right now. Like they had to get started at some point, and they did. They didn't just wake up one day and get like that. Like they had to put in the work when they were not a big name. So yeah. It's all about getting started. And the other thing too, which I will raise my hand and say I struggle with, is wanting to jumpstart the process, right? Being at the bottom rung of the ladder and be like, well, I want to be at the top. You have to take the steps. And so what I found, and what I find with working with my clients, the more you do it, it is just, it's like that snowball effect again. It will get so much easier, and you will blow your mind at how many brilliant, ferocious viewpoints that you figure out you have. You're like, wow. And it just all starts from taking those first steps though, and it's like a muscle. You have to work at it and get better at it. And the more you do it, the more you'll find you have.
Oh, that's such a good advice. I love that so much. Do you have a story bank or something for these ideas and viewpoints, or how do you organize that?
So what you do is I have a Google Doc, and you write out, today I did or thought, and you write out every single thing that you did or thought today. Oh. And then you move down to this week, I did or thought, and you brainstorm everything that you did or thought. And then you do it for the month, and then for a year. Anything that you did, you just brainstorm an offer. I did this or thought today, this week, this month, and this year. Okay. And then you have this huge bank of random stories. And then you take one of these stories, and you can pretty much take any story and segue it into either your offer or your core strategy. And so it's a little bit of a muscle sometimes to work and figure out how it all works. But This is how I recommend starting, because it just gets that creativity flowing. What I have now is it's a Google Doc, and I have it on my Google Drive, so I can access it from my laptop, but I also literally on my phone, right next to my texting button, app, so it's literally the most accessible app on my phone. I have it right there, and so it's because I have so many ideas that if I don't write them down right away, I will forget. So I'm in the habit now, when I have this idea, immediately, I will put it in my phone. I'll give as much context as I need it so I know what the hell I'm talking about, and then I leave it. And then I go back when I batch out my content. I have so many stories, so many voracious viewpoints that are ready to go. And it's this muscle that is just ramped up, and it just works on autopilot. I have a folder for my content, brainstormed ideas, and then I also have one for reels as well. So I have a separate folder for reels. And then I have what I call a brain brilliance folder, or document. So I have a couple other things that I'll access fairly frequently. So I have the app as the drive, so I can just like click into whatever I need.
Oh, okay. So do you have ideas for what kind of posts that the freelancers can make that will attract clients? Like how do we like marry the two?
It's kind of like a present. So think about your Instagram content as you're giving a gift. So you have the outside wrapping paper and then you have the gift inside. So if you were to just give somebody, like, I don't know, you bought them like a coffee mug or something, it's nice, right? Or like you just set it out on a table or something, versus you have this coffee mug all wrapped up in this adorable wrapping paper. It's super cute. It's super like just how the person would love it. And you have it sitting out. Like, what do you think is going to catch their eye first? Of course, the gifted wrapped present, right? That's what's going to catch their eye. That is like an analogy that perfectly fits with Instagram. So your content that you create is going to be what people engage with. It's what's going to make a difference and make people connected with you. However, if you do not get people's attention in the first place, it does not matter at all. The flashy thing that catches people's attention that makes them go, ooh, is your headline and your photo or image. Because photos are really important, but having like text graphics are also really important too. That is the first thing that catches people's attention, because they don't see your whole caption and they're not going to click in if you don't get their attention in the first place. So it's twofold, having that strategy and having these stories and these voracious viewpoints, but then the headline and the image are what's initially actually going to make that matter anyways.
Okay, tell everyone what you mean by headline when you're talking about an Instagram post.
Okay, so I guess I should technically say caption instead of headline. But Instagram gives you however many characters, that shows up before clicking into the post. So your caption is the only thing that people are going to be able to read unless you entice them enough to click in. This clickbait, the term clickbait, gets a bad rap, but I'm a huge fan of having quote unquote clickbait captions. Now, to me, clickbait, there's nothing wrong with clickbait as long as what follows is not misleading, is not, lying, is not totally off base. Like the whole thing with marketing is you believe in your product, you have something good to sell, you want to sell it, right? So It's all about getting people to engage with it. Having that caption is super important. And I recommend you want to kind of like entice people and like give them a reason to read more. And I'm a fan of really short, snappy headlines that just get people's attention. They're kind of shocking sometimes, but they don't drag on, because unfortunately people are super like, they don't have a lot of attention, which good, bad, or otherwise, that's just, there's so much going on Instagram.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. I like that you're calling it the headline, because I can see that copywriter in you. But yeah, people read headlines, and then in copywriting, they read a headline and then they decide if they're going to go back and read the words. Do you have any like tips that like will grab somebody? Like, is it words? Is it emotion, or anything you see working?
I mean, you have whatever your content that you're talking about in your post, right? That is going to dictate, because it has to be relevant, right? Your caption has to tie into what your post is. So if you're telling a story, if you're having a ferocious viewpoint, you want to have your caption tie into that in as few as words as possible and as like boldly as possible. So I know that's very ambiguous and vague, but again, less is more. So people don't have all day. You want to like shock them. You want it to be shocking. Don't be passive. If you're going to say something, own it. Like seriously own it. That passivity is just like snoozeworthy. Like people just aren't interested. They're just not. So own it, make it very bold, and keep it as short and spicy as possible.
So when you're a freelancer, I don't know, how do you, I'm so like wanting to like coach people here in the group. Like, what would you tell them like to get started? Do you have like some ideas to like for those first couple posts? I
would say figure out what's important to be talking about to your audience, and that you really believe in. Like, what are the 3 things that your audience needs to know before they're going to work with you, right? So like some things for me is like one of the core truths that I have that is absolute truth, and I believe is fact with me, is that people are not just buying your services, they're actually buying you as the human. So if people don't understand that, they're not going to get the value of working with me. So it's my job to be talking about that, to be educating that with my audience, right? Yeah. So obviously I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to make it interesting. I'm not going to be talking about 24/7. I'm going to vary it up. But think about what are a couple of things that are really important that your audience needs to know. And I would say pick 3 of them. See if you can do that exercise where even just like make it simple for yourself. That's the other thing. Start small. So think about, okay, what did I do today? Like, what are some things that I did today? And just write them all down, and then see if you can pick one of them. So I have this personal story, and I would jazz it up with some interesting, enticing caption, but it's a story, so people like the entertainment factor. And then there's this value that starts sprinkling in midway through the end, right? So see if you can just start small and just play around with doing things like that. And then as well with ferocious viewpoints, those can stand alone. You don't have to tie anything in, which is really should be like, oh my God, that feels good. Like, you don't have to always be selling. Your ferocious viewpoints will sell yourself. And that's what's beautiful. So those ones, just like practice, like what is something you believe in, and practice, just start being brave and bold with it. Again, it's just practicing. You don't have to be perfect, and you will just keep doing it.
Yeah.